From embattled mayors to embattled senators, it's been a busy week in politics. Here to provide some insight into the week's top political stories is consultant Michael Geoghegan. He is joining us from Harrison Hot Springs, British Columbia. Michael, thank you very much for taking the time. What did you think of this week? Has the bleeding stopped on the Senate front?
I don't think it has yet. We've got another vote coming up next week on whether or not to suspend the three senators. I think the Prime Minister's speech, he offered no detailed response to the issue. He offered no bold vision in terms of Senate reform or having perhaps a referendum on abolition of the Senate. So I don't think the bleeding stopped yet.
Now, the convention in Calgary, was that a standing 10 count or a chance to sort of change the dynamic of the debate?
Well, I think his intention was to say, look, this scandal is irrelevant. The fundamentals are management of the economy, management of the nation's finances. The problem is that the public's attention, the media's attention is still focused on the Senate scandal. And quite frankly, you know, people are like, an increasing number of people are saying, why do we even have a Senate? Why are we spending money on this?
There are some ideas floated about having a possible referendum on the fate of the Senate. Do you think we're likely to have a vote like that?
Well, Prime Minister Harper has given no indication. I think it would certainly be a populist move to put forward a referendum, but he doesn't seem particularly inclined. And like I've said to a number of federal cabinet ministers, if you just go to an elected Senate without there being any reform in terms of the distribution of the seats, that's absolutely disastrous for the West, because the West is very much underrepresented in the West, in the Senate. So, you know, just simply having an elected Senate without there being Senate reform is a disaster. But that opens up the whole constitutional can of worms. No one wants to go back to like Meech Lake or any of those kind of scenarios. So why not just get rid of it?
Now, speaking of cans of worms, RCMP alleging fraud, clearly in legal documents this week. What does this mean for Pamela Wallin?
Well, things just got real. It's a situation where now it's coming out that, you know, that she was warned about certain expenses in the past. I mean, now it's a matter where, because of the formal RCMP investigation, it's now a very, very serious matter. And RCMP investigations, I mean, we went through the whole situation 10 years ago with the RCMP raiding the legislature out here in D.C. There was all kinds of cans of worms that got opened as a result of that. I mean, this could have the same effect in that, you know, investigation into her could open up other things in terms of what the Prime Minister did, what his former Chief of Staff did, what other senators are doing. You know, it's a situation that is replete with possibilities.
And through all this, Ipsos Reid poll shows the three parties virtually tied.
Yes, it's a three-way split, 31%, 31%, and 30%. I mean, Prime Minister Harper has to be worried, because all he has to do is lose a majority, and the likely scenario is, you know, some kind of Liberal NDP coalition government, or, you know, and it's one where the only way he gets to stay Prime Minister is maintaining a majority, and that is looking increasingly out of reach unless he can get this scandal behind him.
On the line from Harrison Hot Springs in BC, Michael Geoghegan. Michael, thank you very much. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too.